Hi everyone, I'm Jo and welcome to another tutorial. Today's make is simple, quick. It uses a universal stitch called right angle weave, and we're going to be making a little beaded heart. So this one that I've got on this necklace is made using 4mm rose gold beads and 3mm sterling silver beads. So this is the little heart, but you could make it using anything. I've done one using size 8 seed beads, this little red one. I've done a silver one in size 11 normal round seed beads, and I've also done a multicolored. I've done a red and silver one in size 11 delicas. So you can really make these little hearts up any size you wish, whether you want to make pendants, earrings. You could even turn one into a ring. If I take this one and just pop it on my finger, actually it might be easier to show you when I've got the camera the other way, but you can make them into anything that you wish. For these little hearts we really don't need many materials at all. And because when you're using size 11s they can turn out really quite dinky and therefore be a little difficult for me to show you because my fingers would cover the entire bit of beadwork, I'm going to use size 6 Miyuki seed beads, and this beautiful colour is called Pearlised Amethyst Burgundy. So I'm using the bigger beads just because it will be easier to show you. I'm using 6 pound weight of Fireline. I've got a size 10 beading needle, and I've got my thread zapper or scissors or anything that you use to cut your thread. So that's all we're going to be using for this little demo. Before we get started, I have a little pattern that you might wish to take a screenshot of, and then it's something you can keep. So I'm going to bring it into shot now. It's not done on a fancy app or anything like that. It's just on some beaded graph paper. So this is for my heart, and we start up in this top left hand corner, A, B, C, D, and so on and so forth to the end. And each step, so A, you can see we're picking up 4 beads. B, you can see those original 4, and the ones that I've coloured in darker in the grey black ink are the beads that we're adding each time. So there are our original 4, and then we add on 3. So you can see exactly how it works as right angle weave. We've got one strip of right angle weave, and then we add on another strip on top by the end of this row. And then in the third row we start adding the third row of right angle weave, and we go slightly off piece towards the end to get the other bump of our little heart. So grab a screenshot if you'd like to, and then you've got it to keep. But I'll be doing the whole process with you with the beads in a minute. So depending on the size of beads that you're going to use, you'll alter the amount of thread that you're going to pop onto your needle. Generally about 1/2 meter of thread is absolutely fine to complete any of these little hearts that we've created here. So I'm going to start out by picking up 4 of my size 6 seed beads, and I'm going to pass them down towards the end of my thread, and I'm just going to tie a knot here. I'm going to tie the little tail thread. I've left about 5 centimeters off to the working thread with a normal overhand knot, and then I'm going to do a surgeon's knot, which is once through the loop and twice through the loop and pull tight. And you'll see that just by doing that, you've got your first little bit of right angle weave, 4 beads that have formed a little cross. Now I'm going to pass through those beads, just 1 to pull the knot inside the hole of a bead so that I don't inadvertently snip it off, but 2, I want to be working in the opposite direction to my tail thread. So my tail thread is coming off to the left, and I'm going to be beading in right angle weave to the right. So I want to pass through until I'm exiting the bead that is furthest on the right before I continue. So there are my first 4. I need to do 4 little bits of right angle weave, so I've got 4 little crosses. But in the next section, I'm only going to be picking up 3 beads, if you can remember my diagram, because I'm going to be borrowing the 4th one from this previous little round. So I've picked up 3 and here's my 4th bead and I go back through it. The thread was exiting from the bottom and I'm entering the bead from the top. And again, I'm going to pass through those beads until I'm exiting the one on the right hand side. So there I've got 2 little crosses, 2 sections of right angle weave. My thread is now exiting the top of this bead on the right, and I'm going to pick up another 3, and here's my 4th one, and this time I'm entering the bead from the base because my thread is exiting the top. So this is now 3 of my little crosses of right angle weave. So I'm going to pass through those 2 so that I'm on the edge again, ready to continue. So if I pop those down there, you can see I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 1 more to do. Pick up my 3 and pass through that one on the end from the other side. And I'm just going to pass through those 2 as if I was going to continue, and then I'll pop that down on the mat so you can see my 4 little sections of right angle weave. So if I bring this in very briefly, I'm at stage D here. I've got 1, 2, 3 and the last little bit of right angle weave. We're ready to start our second row, so we're going to be beading from the right to the left this time, and I need to be actually exiting this bead on the top. So if I just pass through before I pick up any more beads. Now don't worry if they're not sitting in perfect little crosses. As we continue, you're going to be pulling things into place. So here it's the top bead of this last little 4, but it's going to become the bottom bead of the 4 that I add on the top here. So I'm going to pick up another 3, 1, 2, 3, and this is my 4th one to make my little right angle weave section on the top. And again, you're passing through the opposite end to which the thread is exiting. So I'm going to pass my needle through there. And when I pull that in, let's just get them all in the right place again. I've got 3 on the top there. And I'm now going to do my next section, but I've got the bead from the top, from the row before, and I've got a bead on the side to use. So let's pop this little diagram back into shot again because it's somehow easier to see. We've just completed E and we're going on to F. So I'm going to pass through the bead on the top from the row before, pick up 2 new ones, the 2 grey beads, and pass through a side bead to make up my 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to come through, before I pick up any beads, through the bead on the top. It's going to be easier if I hold them because then I can pull my threads tight. Now I'm going to pick up 2 and I'm going to come down through the bead on the side, and I'm going to go through that bead that was on the bottom before. So that makes up my 4. So I've now got, I'll pop that down for you, 2 lots of right angle weave. I've got another 2 to go. So I'm going to pass through until I'm exiting. You always start your next little section on a side bead. So I'm just exiting the side there. And this time I'm going to pick up 2. I'm going to come through the bead that forms the top from the row before and through the 4th one that's on the side. Now you can imagine if I was trying to show you how to do this with teeny tiny beads. So I've got my 4 sections along the bottom, and so far I've got 3 along the second row. I'm going to pass my needle through the beads till I'm exiting the side that I'm beading towards, and this time again I'm going to go through that one first, pick up 2, and I'm going to come through the bead on the side and back through that one, making up my 4. And when I pull that through, you'll see I've now completed the second row of 4. and I'm about to start my third row, which is not a complete row, but I need to be exiting this bead at the top, so I'm going to just pass through those two. And I'm ready for the next section. So this is where we are. We've just completed one and a second row, beading to the right and then beading back to the left. We're now going to start the third row, and you can see I do one section on the top, second section on the top, but I don't continue to the end. I then go up again. This is to form the second bump of our heart. Our first bump is already formed here. So I've got my thread exiting the bead at the top. To make up my right angle weave, I need to pick up 3 because I've only got 1 that I'm using from the row before. So 3, and pass through that top bead from the opposite direction, and that will give me my first lot of 4. And as always, I'm going to step up to the side bead or through the side bead, so I'm ready to do the next section. I'm going to pick up 2 this time because I've got this one on the bottom and I'm borrowing 1 from the side as well, so that makes up my 4. And if I pull that through, you'll see I've got my second little bit of right angle weave. Now we said we're not going to go all the way across. I've done my 2 sections. I'm now going to move up a gear. So I'm passing through the top bead. And because I'm virtually starting another layer, there was layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, or row 1, 2, 3. I'm going to start row 4. I'm picking up 3 again. And I'm going to pass through that top bead to make it the 4th. And now I want to get round to this side where my needle tip is so that I can continue with my heart. So I'm passing through the 2 on the right and down through the 1 on the side. You can see that we're almost there with our heart shape now. So I've got 1 more little section to do, and because this is the second lot on the 4th row, I'm going to pass through that top bead. That's 1. Pick up 2, so that's numbers 2 and 3, and I'm going to borrow the 4th one from the side. And that will make my second little bump. So there you have your little heart. Now all you need to do is weave this thread away. So I always say this, you create a little maze by following the thread through the beads and just kind of tangling it up in its own knots. So I'm just passing through, making sure you go through the beads so that there isn't any excess thread showing. And I'm going to come through this one. And you go to the right and then to the left so that you complete full circles, so that if the thread was to come loose from one of the beads, it's going to get confused with the directions that you've been turning. So I'm going to come down here and here, and it's just creating a little invisible maze. And because we tied off our tail thread at this end, we can actually just zap it off. So if I just zap this off here, and I'll zap this off at the top. I think I need new batteries in my zapper. So there you have your little right angle weave heart. So you can see it in all the different sizes now. We've got the size 6 seed beads, the size 8 seed beads, and the size 11 seed beads. And here's my little heart, exactly the same pattern using the size 11 delicas. So that's the entire pattern. I hope you managed to grab a screenshot. If not, you better rewind to the beginning, grab your screenshot, and you can make them into keyring chains, earrings, pendants, rings. We said rings. If you pop that on your finger and just do a ring shank. So the possibilities are endless. Thank you so much for your time, and thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon with something new. Bye.